Well, hey, welcome everybody to our first Tech Tip Tuesday for 2023. Here we are already January 3rd, and I'm super excited to have all you guys on our call tonight and be able to share some tips and some solutions. My name's Ken Close. I am a Healy World member, just like most of you guys, and engineer, as well as one of the board members here for the U.S. And I'm joined by my awesome co-host, Jake Barron, head of operations for Americas. Hey, Jake, how you doing?
Hey, Ken, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. And we have, who do we have in our background
We
from
have
customers?
Anthony helping out in the chat today, so thank you, Anthony.
Right on. Welcome, Anthony, to our call. I know you've been here before, and I just love the job you do. So thank you, sir, for being here. Looking forward to what we're going to do tonight. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to do for you guys who've never been here before. Welcome. This is a chat-based forum where you bring your questions, concerns, issues, dilemmas to the table, and you put them in the chat. And then what we will do is we will do our very best to unpack the answer. And I don't think we've not solved anything. And if we can't solve it live, trust me, we'll find the answer for you guys. But we will find a solution. So what we can't do is we can't really diagnose, treat, prevent, or suggest any microcurrent programs for any disorders. I mean, we're not doctors here. We're just folks that are loving Healy, as of course with Jake, he's our corporate guy, and we have our customer service representative in the back. So I say, let's get this party started. How about you, Jake?
Sounds great.
Okay, so first question is, what is best use for ear clips? So right out of the gate.
Actually, the first two questions are regarding ear clips. So let me go ahead and take these. So yeah, each market, each region around the world has certain rules and regulations that need to be followed depending on how the product is registered, what clearance that they have, and it's not universal. So you might see over in Europe or some of the markets over in Asia, you can buy these ear clip electrodes. Over here in the Americas, in the US and in Canada, those are not yet available. It's possible that they could be available at some point in the future, but our current clearance doesn't allow for those to be used. So we can't really discuss what they're good for or what the alternatives are because they're not available here right now. So our official response, of course, is that they're not available, but they could be at some point in the future. But yeah, that's kind of where we have to leave that. Any alternatives, anything like that, is not something we'd be able to help with.
Yeah. I mean, everybody is getting very creative with how they use their Healy. So, but we have to stick with what our market dictates and what our compliance is allowing us to do.
Ken, maybe though, I know they aren't available here, but some of the programs in place of that, they call for it to be placed, what is it, the back of the mastoid bone up the...
Yeah, you can see what US market has done with the app is shown you various locations to place the electrodes, the sticky pads, and the mastoid bone, which is basically the base of the skull, is where some of the representation, some of the pictures show for putting the sticky pads. And the reason for that is anything that's going to be applied to the head, or even something that may be influential to your psyche or your emotion, could be best placed there. The other place where it comes to the upper body is the brachial plexus, which is just at the mid-cervical area of the spine to each side. There is a muscular structure there called the brachial plexus. Now, what happens in those areas is there's a lot of information between the brain and the body. And this information highway is then when you have the sticky pads connected there and you have the frequencies and information being transmitted to the body there, then it is attached to that super highway between the brain and the body. So it's fabulous. It's a fabulous place for some of you'll see the programs that are probably more acute. When they say acute application, or systemic application is more system-wide, but acute application is going to be more specific to the brain or something with the psychology. So anyway, yeah, those are the two places for the sticky pads, which would in other markets perhaps be applied via ear clips. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. What else do we have? Let's see.
Question from Irma says, when using the coil, what percentage should we be running at since we can't feel the current? So Ken, I know you'll probably want to add a little bit here, but as a general sort of guideline, I always like to point people back to our Healy app manual. So there's a lot of information in there for those of you that haven't looked at it recently, but a lot of the questions that you might have could be answered there. So I'm going to show real quick here where you can find the section on the coil. So if you go to your, actually within the Healy II app itself, you can get to this in the information section. You can find the app manual, but you can also find it in your back office. If you sort by the manuals, you'll find the Healy manual. This is a 48-page document, but you'll see I'm on page 47 here, and there's a section on the Healy coil, and it kind of talks a little bit about how it works with the quantum potential frequencies. And then you'll see at the bottom it says, to harmonize the bioenergetic field, the Healy coil is designed to use the INF programs at 30 to 100% intensity. So, right there, it kind of tells you it's a wide range, and there's not one answer for everybody. It's same thing like when you're using microcurrent. Some people use it at a higher intensity. Maybe they're less sensitive. They have it at a higher intensity, maybe even at the high current setting at a high intensity. But that might not be the best option for somebody else. So you kind of got to listen to your body as far as what works best for you, what feels the most comfortable for you. So Ken, anything to add on to that?
Yeah, 100%. I'm all about listening to the body. It has its own intelligence. Believe me, it will give you information if you're willing to listen. And to be able to listen to the body means you have to let go of your subjective opinions. You have to let go of things about what you may have learned and allow the body just to be its own messenger. So understand that when Healy converts the microcurrent into magnetic energy, it literally takes the microcurrent that's coming out and it runs it through. There's two coils inside this, what's called the coil, and it runs that current flow through those coils of wire, creating magnetic fields, two of them, and they're opposing each other. So in other words, it's kind of it's called a zero vector field, is what it's technically called, zero vector field, meaning that there's essentially an empty nothingness. And so in this, magnetically anyway. And so when the frequencies are applied or pulsed within that, when those two opposing fields, you're in the center, because when you wear your Healy, it's attached to the Healy hardware on the back side under the clip, clicks in, and then when the Healy coil is transmitting, it's transmitting a cone-shaped magnetic field out the front and out the back. And so when you place the Healy on your body, now the fields are going forward and backward. What's in the middle? Or I should say, who's in the middle, right? We are, the body is. And so it's the body that's in this envelope, this beautiful envelope of magnetic energy infused with the frequencies. And our body, because of the water and the minerals, intracellular and extracellular water within this body, and the minerals within, it's a standing, walking, talking antenna. And when magnetic energy propagates across an antenna, it infuses information into the antenna. We are the antenna being infused with information, and the information is the frequencies that's being transmitted by the program. So this information, then the only separation between 0% and 100% of oscillation or intensity current flow, the only difference is called amplitude. So in other words, the strength of the signal. So the frequencies are being permeated irregardless of its point of its at 5% or 100%. The frequencies are being transmitted. It's the amplitude of those frequencies that's being regulated by your percentage adjustments. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. Magnetic energy, when it propagates across the antenna, aka body, the information can be very, very low amplitude and still be transmitted into the body, because it's essentially playing with the meridian structures of your body, aka also the water, intracellular and extracellular water that only a couple cells wide create this meridian highway, this information structure, which is amazing within the body. And Marcus talks about this in regards to meridians. And when a meridian is propagated with a signal, it omnidirectionally infuses that meridian with information. Okay, omnidirectionally, up, down, left, right, all around. So as Jake said, pay attention to your body. And if 100% is tolerated by the body, do it. If it requires you down regulating some of that amplitude, then do that. And I want to tell you how to tell if you're getting too much or not. When you listen to the body, sometimes too much means just simply tired, unusually tired. Sometimes too much means irritable, unusually irritable. Sometimes too much means a shedding or releasing in an unusual way. So aches and pains literally can be part of a detox influence from what Healy does. You know, when I say a little headache or some stiffness, soreness, that kind of stuff. So those are things you listen to. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes some sense, guys.
It does. It does.
Okay. Where are we?
Let's see.
Happy New Year from snowy Colorado. Welcome, Izzy. Thank you for being here.
We have a couple master key questions. So maybe we just combine these all into one quick discussion here. So someone was asking the steps for how to respond when the Analyse app login asked for the master key. Member thought she followed all the steps, but is stuck. And another person was asking that her Analyse app keeps losing its connection from the iPhone to the Healy. If she deletes the app and reinstalls, does she need her original master key? And then there was someone else asking, I think that was it. But so to answer those questions, so if you have not updated to the newest version of the Analyse app that kind of did away with the master key and replaced it with this two-factor authentication where you go to log in and it emails you a 6-digit verification code, which you then take it from your email, put it into the app. And then from that point on, once you've done that process, you no longer need a master key. But if you have not yet done that and you're updating for the first time, it may ask you for the master key one more time until you actually get to that verification code process. So to answer one of these, if you're losing connection, something like that, and you're worried about if you reinstall, you need the master key. If you still can connect to it, just go ahead, connect one more time, do a full sync, back up your master key so you have it onto your smart device, save it somewhere, maybe on your iCloud drive, something like that. Have that saved, and then you can go ahead, update to the newest version of the app or delete and reinstall. And then if it asks you for the master key, you'll have it because you just backed it up. If you don't, and it actually just does the verification code process, you'll proceed from there. But it's, you know, really that's kind of the best way to do it. It's always good when you're transitioning from this older version to the new one. If it's possible to back it up so you have the most current one in case it does come up. That way you can get around that question if it does ask you for the master key that one last time. And if not, Once you do the 6-digit verification code, it'll no longer ask you for the master key again if you delete, reinstall, or if you just download and install the Analyse app on a second device. Maybe you got an iPad and want to also use it on that, or a tablet, whatever the case may be. When you go to install it, it's not going to ask for the master key then. It'll just ask you to put in that 6-digit verification code.
Yeah, so just verify that the latest version of the Blue Dot app is 1.21.4. Okay, that's the latest version. You can tell what version you have by actually going to the Blue Dot. You don't have to have your Healy to do this, by the way. Go to the Blue Dot app, open it, click on the little gear icon at the bottom right of the screen, and then just scroll down to information there, then click on that line item information, and it'll show you what version you're currently using. And if it's not 1.21.4, then you need to go to your app store and open the Blue Dot app from there, and it should automatically bring the latest version in. What you'll see is some revision information. Basically, when you go to the app store, you click on the open tab, and it gives you these lists of revisions that have happened at certain dates. So you just know that you're actually getting the latest at that point. And as Jake said, once you have the latest version and you open it, it should automatically, well, like you said, it may ask you one more time for the master key, but it should actually send an email to your email with a verification code as opposed to the master key. The question here with the one that says that you deleted the Blue Dot and reinstalled it, do I need the original master key? When you delete the app and reinstall it, it's going to act as if it was a brand new installation. So it may still ask you for the master key one more time, as Jake said. So just be sure you have it somewhere. Okay. Worst case scenario, you would have to reset your cloud account. What's that mean? Well, it means it kind of resets all of your clients and data and that kind of stuff, and you start fresh, but it will still function. You're not going to lose everything.
Mm-hmm.
It'll still work. Okay. All right. Ryan says, aloha, beautiful Healy team. I'm assuming you're in Hawaii. I'm in the wintry Pacific Northwest. Yeah.
Either in Hawaii or wants to be in Ohio, in Hawaii, and they're stuck in the snow right now.
Wants to be in Hawaii, yeah. All right.
We had a question that Anthony already answered it, so thank you. But it was, which pink app is the best to use? So, yeah, I mean, over the last couple months, we've rolled out this new that Ken's pointing to. It's called it was first the Mag Healy app. It was designed first to use the brand new Mag Healy. Then we added in the ability to use your regular Healy with it. And that app can now control both your Healy and your Mag Healy. And that is the new app. That is the one that's replacing or has replaced the Healy Pink Dot app, which a lot of people refer to it as. And it's, if you go search for it now it used to be called the Mag Healy app in the App Store. It was actually called the Healy II app now. If you go to your App Store and search for it. And yeah, that's the app you're going to want to use. It's got a lot of improvements as far as the stability, the user interface, how it looks. It's a lot cleaner. It's the most recent platform for all of our apps that we're going to be using going forward. So that's the one definitely you're going to want, because we're not going to be providing updates and keeping the old Healy Pink Dot app current. So at some point you're going to have to switch anyway. So you might as well go ahead and do it now and kind of benefit from the newer features and the updated app structure.
Yeah, 100%. I've mentioned it before, and remember Healy, it took Marcus 10 years to finally to move from time waiver and the practitioner base to the personal wearable system. And so the testing phase and all the creation phase was on some of the technology for app development that's not current app development technology. And so it was working, but it was that other platform. So this new app now is on the current most up-to-date platform. And this is another reason why certain hardware will become obsolete in other words, being able to use Healy. So older iPhones, older Android hardware. And that's why it has to be a certain operating system level. And this is not just Healy, folks. I mean, I'm restoring an old vintage vehicle and getting parts anymore. You can't do it because it's so old. But the point is that eventually old hardware gets phased out just because of new technology discovers new ways to be more efficient, as well as have a wider expansion of capability. So that's what we want, isn't it? We want an expanded capability. I mean, how many of you guys have seen the new SoulCycle program group? Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so let's see. Oh, here's a question about the watch. I like this one. I don't know if it's been answered already, but my Healy Watch sleep tracker has my heart rate on a constant roller coaster from 50 to 100 beats, which, yeah, that doesn't sound like you're sleeping, does it? Not exactly resting heart rate pattern. So how accurate is the watch? One of the questions I might ask is, how do you wear the watch? If I know that this is who is it? This is Rochelle. So you may have a smaller wrist, and I've heard some of folks with smaller wrists that the watch doesn't sit quite right. I would wonder if that might be happening, and in terms of how the watch is actually fitting on your wrist. If you have a smaller wrist, how you're wearing it, if it's loose, if it's moving around a lot. That makes it tough for the sensors to actually catch a reading. No different than if you're wearing EKG leads and you kept moving around, right? It'd be hard to catch a signal. So I would take a look at that. But otherwise, they're pretty accurate. I mean, the technology is not new. It's not invented by Healy. So it should be fairly accurate. The other consideration would be, yeah, just communications between the app and the watch, but that's Bluetooth, pretty simple. Yeah. I did adjust some of the positioning on the watch and see what happens. Okay. Bernadette says, I'm going to be setting up a Healy for someone who has had one for a year. I know this has been answered before, but well, I need to go through the master key process. So yeah, so now here's the thing that I want to make sure that folks understand is there's a distinct portal. When we switched over in July, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but I found this over and over again. When we switched over in July 2020, right? 2021. 21. Yeah, geez. We switched over from one platform to another platform, aka the back office and everything. There was an opt-in process where you got an email somewhere around July 15th or 12th or somewhere in there, 2021. And there was a portal you had to click on that would take you through and bring you right to your shop page. You could change all the details around your account once you got through that. But if you didn't, there was some hardships. There is another login portal, which gives an option whether you're before that date or after that date in terms of logging in. But I would be concerned about this case. It's over a year old. Jake, you got anything to add to that?
No, I mean, there's a lot of different things that could be going on, but in general, that's the case. And worst case, can kind of reach out to our support team, or maybe even Anthony in the chat on this call can possibly help out. But
yeah. Okay. Let's see. So Ryan's got some questions. Number one, what system does the coil work with in the body? I think we kind of talked about that. When it comes to magnetic wave transmission, it doesn't matter what the transmitter is or what the source of the transmission is. Magnetic waves are transmitted by all kinds of things, from lights to radio stations, to our own thoughts. Okay. Anytime you have electron flow from point A to point B through a conductor, a piece of wire, a nervous system, anything like that, you're going to get a magnetic emission. This is just physics of electron flow. So we, as this body, like I mentioned, are this standing, walking, talking antenna, and a radio station transmits information up an antenna, electron flow up an antenna, and that electron flow turns into magnetic waves. It's automatic. And what's contained on this magnetic wave that goes out omnidirectionally across the environment is information encoded on this magnetic wave. The words that the DJ is saying, the song that they're playing, the advertisements, all of the content in audio form is encoded on that magnetic wave. And our bodies are picking up that magnetic wave also. In fact, some people, maybe you've heard of this, hear radio stations or hear music in their head, right? Hear things, which is exactly that. It's magnetic waves, and their nervous system is able to decode that from a radio station. I mean, maybe cool, maybe not, but still that happens. So, so this is how the coil is transmitting information into the body, and what system of the body is receiving this is this conductive system, the water system within our body. Okay. Okay. Second question: Can more of the local and or acute programs be run more than once a day in addition to the 3-program limit, or is it separate? So the acute, all IMF programs, in other words, there's a little symbol that says IMF. Those it's recommended that you run no more than 3 a day. Now, listen to your body. The other programs that don't have the IMF, the only difference between those and the ones who do have IMF, they both transmit microcurrent out of the leads of the Healy. And so the body's still infusing this microcurrent. This is where we want to be cautious, not cautious, but just regulate to 3 programs a day, is when you're putting in microcurrent. When you're putting in magnetic energy, AKA the coil, not the same equation. Or if you're using the blue dot and using it to infuse information into your information field, again, not necessary to regulate the same. I always tell people to listen to your body, run 3 programs, find out how you feel, what happens. You want to give your body time to acclimate to the infusion or the program itself. You want to give your body time, because our nervous system and magnetic energy propagates at the speed of light. It changes quickly, but the 3-dimensional matter of the body, cells, systems, organs, and tissues, they're subjected to space and time. So they take a bit more time to acclimate. All right. Number 3, do the Healy watches transmit program frequencies or microcurrent? No, it's just a monitoring device, monitoring biorhythmic content of the body. All right. Healy Watch programs can be used in addition to the 3 programs, a daily limit. So all of the programs, if it's a Healy Watch program, a lot of those are, when they move you over to a microcurrent program, that's where the limitation starts to build in. Okay. If it's just being transmitted via the blue dot, not the same limitation. So understand there's 3 modalities here we're talking about. Number 1, microcurrent, IMF, individualized microcurrent frequencies. Number 2, coil, magnetic emissions. Number 2, okay, magnetic emissions. And number 3, information field, quantum field influence. Okay, this is where frequencies are being sent into the field. And when you send a frequency out into the field, it goes omnidirectionally throughout the entire universe. There's no limit. That's called quantum entanglement. And when you, as the client, are the target, right? You're the client within the blue dot, then all intention, all information all attention is placed on you, and quantum entanglement is infused into you only. And these frequencies go out into your information field. Okay. And so that you can use as much as you like. It's a little more subtle. Number 4, I have clients coming to me and having their Healys not registered. Yeah, we've talked about this, and this is a good one for you, Jake. The Healys shipped out was not linked to their account.
Yeah, I mean, it happens occasionally. You know, the warehouse isn't 100% perfect. Maybe they're 99.9% perfect. So occasionally one gets shipped out, especially when it's super high volume. You know, maybe they missed a scan before it went into the box. So if that's the case, you don't see a Healy that you purchased on your account, log into your support center, go to help.healy.world, which is our new support center area. And then there's a support center tab at the top. Click on that, log in, submit a new case, a new support ticket. Take a picture, make sure you include a picture of the back of your Healy device that shows the serial number clearly, and include your order number as well too. And our team will take a look, and it's a quick process to get it assigned to your account.
Yeah, that happens so much less. I remember once upon a time, but this was years ago. We're way better today. Yeah. Okay, so another question here. Can the Healy be used in shielded areas of the hospital and high oxygen environments? Remember, we're looking at, it doesn't send out sparks. Okay, it doesn't send out sparks. So when it's in fire restricted areas, there's certain devices that they don't want because of arcing or sparking influence, and that's the Healy doesn't do that. So and the magnetic energies are being sent out in a very this space where I am. So even if everything around me is shielded, I'm going to still receive all the content Healy wants to send me. May not go anywhere else, won't leave the room. But if I'm wearing some kind of shielding on my body and my Healy's on the outside of that shielding, now that's a different story. Okay. I've heard people ask me all the time about, hey, can I wear my, my frequency protective system when I'm using my Healy? No, because what are you doing? You're trying to get the frequencies to go into your body. And if you're wearing some kind of a shielding system to protect you from unwanted frequencies, then you're also going to shield against the wanted ones as well. Okay, it's just the way it works. Choose when you run your Healy and remove those protective systems so that you can allow your body to absorb these. Okay. And we talked about how many microcurrent programs can be run in a day. 3.
Yeah, I mean, you did explain that great earlier on. Just also, if the recommendation is 3 per day, make sure you're not doing these all back to back to back. Space them out throughout the day, just because a lot of people have to be like, hey, I have the most time in the morning to get these knocked out, and you could actually end up not having as much benefit if you try to do them back to back to back. You want to space it out. Ken, I know you have some good tips for what to do in between, especially as far as hydration, grounding, that kind of thing. But it's important to not rush it. And just because maybe you have a couple of different things going on with your body that you're trying to harmonize and balance, doesn't mean you need to run those programs every single day. You can space it out, maybe run 2 of these programs here, skip a day, run those other 2 again 2 or 3 days from now. It's not you need to do it every single day to get any sort of benefit out of it.
Exactly. Remember what I said, your body takes time. You know, if you cut your finger, right, it takes a little time to heal, but you can add to the healing process by nutrients and minerals and protective covering, as well as the frequencies of Healy. You can increase the healing process, but it still is going to take time. So this is the same scenario. I don't recommend that you try to knock it, like Jake said, you got 20 minutes in the beginning of your day, I'm going to knock out a little bit of everything. No, that's not what we do. So understand that there's a very distinct reset process for the body too. And there's what I call a self-care protocol. And there's 5 parts to it. All right. Number one, foremost is that you're hydrated. Make sure your body's properly hydrated. This means half your body weight in ounces of water per day, right? Not all of it in the morning. This is through the whole day, right? Half your body weight in ounces of water. If you weigh 100 pounds, 50 ounces of water in a day. Okay. Number 2 is grounding. If you can't go outside because it's a frozen iceberg outside, well, guess what? There are devices. There's grounding mats, there's grounding sheets, there's grounding blankets, there's grounding things that plug into the circuitry of your home. Shop them online, you'll find them. And then it takes that earth ground that's outside, brings it through the electrical system to the mat or pad or pillowcase or sheet, and your body's then grounded. So how much grounding is necessary? I recommend 15 minutes after each program. 15 minutes after each program. All right. Number 3, movement. You got to get your lymphatic system engaged. You've got a heart to pump your blood, but you don't really have anything except for your muscular structure to move the lymphatic fluids, which is how your body detoxes and transmits nutrients and releases toxins. So movement, and when I say movement, I'm talking about, stretching, yoga, dance, walking, long, elongated movements where you're moving your body in very big ways. Okay. Number 4, breath. Breathe, folks. Full engaged breath, filling your lungs all the way up and all the way out. Slow, full breaths. And I'm saying when I mean that by full breaths, not just one, not just 2, but spend some time. And with that stretching, it's great time, or that movement, great time to breathe. You can get 2 in 1. 2 in 1. 15 minutes of moving and stretching equates to 15 minutes of breathing, great breathing. And the last one, number 5, my favorite, is to find a reason to fall in love with life, because your mental attitude, your emotional demeanor has a big influence on your health. Because 1, the bad state puts you into the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight. The other, which is the good state, puts you into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest. That's when your body's healing. Okay. So your mind has to be involved. You can't remove yourself from the equation of healing because you're part of the equation. All right. This is recorded, so don't worry. You can go back and we'll have it on the YouTube page. All right. Ava says, aloha, everybody. I know where you live. So you got a newbie downline. It just uploaded her blue dot for the first time, and the scan all Healy programs is gone, is missing. So do another update. Just go back and do a full sync. The full sync process, it's there. It's in the database. It's not going to be excluded from anybody. It's there. You just may have to go back and do a full sync again, or log out, log back in, full sync again. It'll show up. Be patient. Okay. What else we got? Thanks for the watch answer. You're welcome. I'm way behind. Ryan's got a lot of questions. Question about the electrodes. This is a good one. We talked about this a little bit. Do the electrodes need to be placed at the base of the brain for the pain function, treating depression, or do the wristbands suffice? So again, I always say, where is your origin? Where's the origin? Where's the origin of some psychological issue? Where's the origin of an emotional response? The origin is always the thought, the brain, the mind. So if you're working with a condition, always go to the origin. If it's local pain relief and it's your elbow that hurts, you don't put the wristbands around your ankles, right? Go to the source and work in the area that you're trying to align. Okay. How can the Healy be placed to best address pain conditions, nerve, local? So I kind of, again, where is the source? Listen to your body. Everybody, right now, if you were just to do a full scan on your body, just your own mental awareness, do you feel anything? I mean, do you feel anything? Some of you guys are sitting or laying. You should feel pressure on your behind. Right? You're sitting. So I just want you to get used to feeling something, a sensation. It happens so frequently and so often we negate it. We ignore it. It seems to just be who we are. But yet when you sit down, there's pressure against the muscular structure and the bones and skeletal systems. Feel that. This is the stuff we need to really pay attention to. So wherever you feel the need in the body is where you localize the alignment. Okay. Does anyone get access to their resonance app through all models if one also has the professional? So your resonance is assigned to your account, no matter what edition device you have. When you log in to your Blue Dot or your Heal Advisor app, you're logging into your account and all the Healys are assigned to that. You want to take any of these, Jake? You can. If we make claims to a Healy's ability to manage pain, can we be sued? Well, are we?
So this is, anything that's listed on our website is, of course, compliant. So that's the best place to go to make sure that you're saying things that are compliant there. So if you go outside of that and start saying things that Healy doesn't say corporate, that's the kind of we don't want you to do that, of course. Not only that, but it's not good for the company to make claims that aren't listed, supported on our actual website too. So it's best to go with what we have listed here on the website. And if you're talking specifically about pain, there's a Healy for Pain Relief section on our website, which has a lot of the things that you would want to focus on when you're talking to people. It says the official statement, of course, is Healy is a microcurrent medical device that's been cleared by the US FDA only for local relief of acute, chronic, and arthritis pain and muscle soreness due to overexertion. So we also have non-medical applications, of course, which are individualized microcurrent frequency programs that harmonize your bioenergetic field. But again, it's always best to go back to what we have listed on our corporate site to make sure you're compliant.
Mm-hmm. Harmonizing is a great word that can be used very, very generally. No claim there. Harmonizing.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Question above. Okay. Here's one that says, are there any benefits to sending digital nutrition programs from the Blue app when a distance client is not eating or digesting after just eating? What's the best use of the digital nutrition programs from the Blue Dot app? So remember what I said earlier, the three modes that Healy operates within: the microcurrent, the magnetic field, and what's the last one? Information field. This is the quantum entanglement. When we set up a client, no different than any other environment where quantum entanglement is listed. And I suggest go to YouTube and just search quantum entanglement. There's so much science, so much information on what quantum entanglement means. And if you've ever in your life thought of a friend, a relative, a coworker, or a loved one of any type, and they called you all of a sudden, and you go, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. How you doing? I haven't talked to you in a long time. That's quantum entanglement. Because your thought, how many times have you thought of a person or somebody just popped into your head and you're like, where'd that come from? Why did that all of a sudden pop in my head? Trust me, it's because that other end is thinking about you. And if you act upon it, here's an experiment. Do this for a week. I challenge everyone to do this experiment for 1 week. Every time a person pops into your head, contact them. Reach out. Say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Just thinking about you. And ask them if they were thinking about you, or they may already volunteer it. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you. Wow. Now that's quantum entanglement. The moment we meet someone, the moment that we interact with another person. And the degree in which we interact, I should say, the emotional involvement in which we interact with this other human determines how entangled those two are. A casual encounter versus a deep, romantic, emotional encounter has a variance on the strength of that entanglement. So when you send frequencies to a client, digital nutrition or otherwise, you're sending them directly to their field. And if that person on the other end is willing to accept, believe, and surrender, accept, believe, and surrender to what's being sent to them, then the actual application to their biology will be a much higher degree of influence. Okay. All right. See, so somebody says, I won a Healy Watch during the Healy Roadshow. Yay, right on. In Austin, Texas. I have never learned how to use it. Okay.
Well, there's some videos out there. If you search for them, go to YouTube, search for how to use the Healy Watch, and then also there's a manual, Healy Watch manual, that's available in your back office too. That gives a little bit of an overview of how to do some of the basics. So I would start there if you're brand new to the watch.
Yep. Yeah. Start with the basics. When using the Blue app, can the coil stay attached during administration of the frequencies? Yeah, I mean, it can. It wasn't designed that way. The coil came in after. I mean, it's not amplifying. There's no currently there. I have not seen any studies saying that the coil inhibits or amplifies the transmission, because again, you're looking at the quantum entanglement. Now, if we're looking at the Healy from the aspect of its frequency generator, because inside the Healy is a frequency generator, it's sending out the frequencies like a radio station. It's in the back. And if you put the coil on, anytime you have a magnetic field being transmitted out into the space, what I say, when that magnetic field comes across an antenna, a conductive strip, your body or anything, this is a coil, it's called a conductive strip. When it comes across that, it's going to then propagate information into the wiring and then send us a secondary magnetic field out. So theoretically, from an electronics engineering perspective, it can have an effect from that perspective, but from quantum entanglement, no effect. But so far, there's no studies that have been worked on that. Okay.
All right. Next question here was, again, thank you, Anthony. He's already ahead of us answering most of these questions already. But he said, Ruth just downloaded the Healy II app from the App Store. Should she get rid of the original Healy PinkTat app? Yeah, go ahead. You can delete it. You're not going to lose anything. If for some reason you change your mind, there's no data stored in the Healy app. So it's just a matter of downloading it, installing the update, which will pull down all the programs that you have access to, and then you go from there. So no harm in deleting the Healy PinkTat app once you have the new Healy II app, unless you want it for, just sentimental purposes to see it on your phone still.
Yeah. I have it up here because people are always asking questions.
Yeah.
So just for illustration purposes.
Transition period for a lot of people. So
yeah. I don't use it. I don't use Pink Dot anymore. I'm 100% to the new one. Okay. Let's see. So there's a question again. Is it true as many of the soul cycle programs as desired can be run in addition to the IMF programs, as they do not address organs? I'm going to give you a little hint. Emotions are stored in the body. Trust me, they're stored in the genetic code of your body in every single cell. So when we're working on emotions, you want to be happy, right? There's a happy program. I love the happy program. I want to be happy. Woohoo, you know? Okay, sing the happy dance song. But the problem is that there's familiar, tangible matter of the body that remembers unhappy. And so when we are running a happy program, it's working on increasing the amplitude of the frequency of happy and downregulating the amplitude of frequency of unhappy. But the body still has a familiar system of unhappy. So you could have some feelings within the body that don't feel great when you're trying to restructure. There's maybe some of you have heard of what's called the dark night of the soul, where the body goes through these transitions, right? You get this upregulation, this new piece of information, an aha moment. And all of a sudden you feel great, but depression, I don't like that word. Some kind of lower frequency vibration emotion starts to come in and make you feel not great. Well, this is the body reminding you of the old self, and you have to stay on point with the new self. And so these soul cycle programs are no different. I still would definitely pay attention to your body, and then stay within the same guidelines, same boundaries.
Yeah, so there was a comment here that says, how do we explain how soul cycle delivery differs from IMF programs? And the soul cycle program group are all IMF programs. They're delivering microcurrent via individualized microcurrent frequencies. So, and you'll see there, if you go to the program group itself, each of the little 12 icons has the IMF icon next to it in the upper right corner. So they are IMF programs as well.
And when you run them as a microcurrent transmitting system, in other words, through the wristbands or sticky pads, when you run them that way, it's the same as any other IMF program. There is, we know that microcurrent studies show this since the decades ago, that that microcurrent infusion into the body increases ATP production by up to 500%. It increases protein synthesis by up to 70%. Increases amino acid transport within the cell of up to 40%. This is just studies. You can go and look at them. This is how microcurrent works. Another reason why Healy is using microcurrent, so we can increase cell energy. So when you do that, irregardless if it's emotional storage in the cells or toxic storage in the cells, the tangible body still has being affected. Okay. Let's see. Ruth says, I never got this question answered. Maybe it already got answered by Anthony, but do you need to buy a configuration tool? 9 months ago, when I was talking with Freddie, I was not sure, did I need to purchase this tool? I'm not sure what
I don't know what a configuration tool is, but Healy doesn't sell anything's related to configuration tool or calibration tool or anything like that. So there's nothing else you need to buy in addition to your Healy to use it properly.
I mean, unless it was related to something with an older version of an Android, even Apple, the iPhones don't have a configuration tool of any kind. Maybe some of the Androids may, when we're looking at trying to, I don't know, increase memory on a device, but no, there's nothing to do with Healy. Okay. I don't know if this already got answered. I know Anthony's back here plugging away.
Well, Bernadette had a question. If she has difficulty loading the Analyse app on her friend's device, can I just use demo mode to get them started? I mean, sure, yeah, you can put that device into demo mode, and they can use it for as long as they want in demo mode. Just know that it's not going to be stored to the cloud. It's going to be stored locally on that device. So if you ever leave demo mode and log back into your regular account, it would clear out any sort of information that was stored on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dean has a question here. A statement says in the Healy BLE or Bluetooth low energy, energy frequency for the Bluetooth. However, in the world of people like me, which EHS, which is electro hypersensitivity, the actual device, phone or tablet is still sending out regular Bluetooth, correct? Yes. Healy has nothing to do with your smart device and its transmissions. Healy has nothing to do with it. Healy itself is sending a BLE signal or low energy, but your smart device isn't. So if you're hypersensitive to Bluetooth energy of any kind, then there's going to be a struggle with the smart device having its Bluetooth turned on and interfacing with Healy, because even though Healy is low energy, your smart device is not. So anytime you send a program to the Healy, send any of those programs to the Healy's memory location, the IMF programs, this can be done via the Bluetooth, not low energy on your smart device. Anytime you use the blue dot, where they're working on communicating 1-to-1 ratio with the Bluetooth, still going to have issues. The only thing you can do is set my thoughts. If you're looking at the microcurrent programs, you're sending them from the app to the Healy, turn it on, set it, run away, right? Let it do its job, come back, turn the Bluetooth off on your smart device, and then it's all run on it. Then you can turn it off because everything's loaded on the Healy. You won't need that Bluetooth anymore. Anthony's talking about the downside to using demo mode. Again, if you log out, you lose all the clients and lists and stuff with the demo mode. I like it though when I'm trying to get somebody started right away and we're having any kind of problems, because occasionally the server is being worked on and it's down. And when you try to synchronize during the server being worked on, it won't happen. You won't synchronize. And so demo mode is a great way to do it. It may still be challenging, by the way. Okay.
I had a comment here I'm supposed to share with you, that the mini lecture you gave a while back on one of the topics was the bomb of perfection. I think that's the highest compliment that you can receive. I like it. Okay. I don't remember exactly which one. You've had many different great mini lectures tonight, but we'll so thank you for the feedback.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. I got folks that I get on and do interviews and such because I do a lot of work in epigenetics and understanding that genetic influence that we have as a personality, as a mind. It's huge. And then how Healy interfaces with that expression is beyond awesome. So we have so much control over our bodies, our genetic expression. We just tend to give our power away too much. Okay.
The question was, where'd it go? It was, can you show what the IMF symbol looks like? So there's a soul cycle presentation. I don't have the actual app screen pulled up, but let me just show you, because there's a screenshot of it in the soul cycle presentation that's available in your back office, and it's great. And you'll see, let me zoom in here just a little bit and you'll be able to see a little better. But you'll see in the top right, this is the shot of the soul cycle page. It's a little bit blurry when you zoom in, but the top right of each of these, it says IMF. That's what you're looking for in the Healy II app. Any of the programs, you'll see that IMF is listed in the top right corner. for almost all of them, except the acute programs. The acute programs are not IMF, and you'll see that it doesn't have that listed there. So any of the ones that have IMF there, you can also use with the coil too.
Yeah, let me do a quick screen share here,
Okay.
Jake, and I'll show you real quick, everybody, what that looks like. And we can just, we'll just quickly see what. All right, so share my screen real quick here. We're at the end of our hour, but I'll be fast. Okay, so this is, here we go. Essentially, here is the app, and here's all of our programs. So if we take a look at this, let's go to the pain simulation one for a second and take a look at these programs here. If we go to pain, you'll see that there's no little IMF symbol. It would be at on this screen. It would be, I'll show you where it looks like. See, here it is. The top left, learning systemic, IMF there. Or the one right next to it, learning acute, no IMF there. And the reason is because when you're looking at applications that are systemic or system-wide, this is where we would apply the wristbands. If we just go ahead and look at systemic, I'll go ahead and click on systemic. You'll see that you can apply the sticky pads or wristbands from one wrist to the other, meaning through the entire system. And we're talking about the body as a system. So from the left to right, if we go to acute, click on acute, you'll see you're connecting in a different spot. Now you're up there at the mastoid bone, right? And it's localized in terms of its application. So yes, it's still microcurrent, but it is not that IMF just symbol, the lack of IMF symbol says it, this is not one you would use the coil with. And it's still microcurrent, but the frequency system is a bit different in its application. Okay, so that's what they look like. And you'll see the differences that it's shown in the pictures within the app. Okay. All right, well, we are at the end of our hour. Oh my gosh, it went by so fast. Sorry, we didn't get to everybody. And know that this is being recorded, that the contents are still kept and looked at. If you guys want to save the chat, if you're on your PC or your Mac, at the bottom by the chat there's that little icon or the face, and then there's 3 little dots there. Click on the 3 little dots, allows you to save the chat to your computer, and then you can go back and look at the answers, because I know Anthony was in the background giving a bunch of content. All right. Well, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Jake. This was awesome for the first one of the year. I can't wait to keep going week after week and serve you guys in the best of our abilities. So everyone, have a good night. Thanks again.